Okay, boys and girls, today we're going to be talking about point of view. Now, I don't know if you remember point of view. That it has to do with who is telling our story. Now, we have 2 points of view that we're going to talk about today. We have first person point of view. A story told in first person point of view has a character in the story as the narrator. Readers learn about other characters from what they say to the narrator. And you can tell it is first person point of view by the clue words I, me, we. So the character would be, the narrator is in the story. They would be using words like I did this, we did this, me. Those would be clue words in the story. So the story would be told from that person's perspective. They would be part of the story. Can you think of any stories we read where it was told from first person, Anastasia?
Running Rivals.
Running Rivals. Yes, that's a very good example of from a first person story. Can you think of another one? Avery?
It's the one that we read.
Yes, the story that we read in our book.
The one that said
Soccer
soccer shootout.
shootout. That's another very good example. Yes.
Dear Primo.
Dear Primo. Very good. Now, other stories are third person, and there the narrator is outside the story. So a story told in third person point of view has an outside narrator. The narrator can tell readers what all of the other characters are saying, doing, and thinking. And so here's some clue words. They would say, she did it. He, she, they. Those are some clue words. Can you think of some stories we read where we have third person? Yes.
The Saga of Pico's Bill.
Which one?
The Saga of Pico's Bill.
Yes. What else?
Brothers at Bat.
Brothers at Bat. Oh, very good, because that's what we're going to be discussing today. Yes.
Scaredy Squirrel.
Scaredy Squirrel. That's a very good one. That was third person. Yes, Ivy.
First person, Dear Dragon, and third person, the U.S. Constitution.
The U.S. Constitution. Excellent. Juliana.
Marisol McDonald.
Marisol McDonald. Very good. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to be reading just parts of our story today, and we're going to be talking. We're not going to read the whole story today because that would take more time than we have today. I should probably get my paper. And we're going to work on talking about Brothers at Bat. And first we want to go to page 420. So could you go to 420? Go to 420 in your book. So if any of you go to 420, that's like pretty much almost at the beginning of the story. So let's go to 420. Oh, here it is, right here. I'm just going to go to one page. There it is, 420. And so we would like to figure out what the point of view is. Now it says point of view is the answer to this question. Who is telling the story? It may be a narrator who is part of the story. The narrator uses words such as I, me, and we. The person may be outside of the story. This narrator uses words such as he, she, and they. And that's what we're going to try to figure out right now. So boys and girls, quickly, reread that page right now. Read 420 to yourself. Okay, I'll give you a minute to do that. Now, let's see if we can answer our questions. Who is telling about the Acera family? A narrator inside the text or a narrator outside the text? Who is telling about the Acera family? Mikey?
Someone outside the
outside the text. So let's write that to our first question. So we'll just write a narrator outside the text. Then, boys and girls, we have to answer the question. How can you tell? How can we tell that? How can we tell that? How can we tell it's a narrator outside the text? Libby?
Because it doesn't say narrator before the...
Well, it's not going to use the word narrator. It almost never says that in a story. It uses that term in a play, in a drama. Thomas? It uses the pronoun they. Very good. So the narrator uses pronoun. It uses the pronoun they. Juliana?
And it doesn't say I, me, anywhere.
It doesn't use I or me. It uses the pronoun they. Very good. Anastasia?
It names all 12 of the brothers instead of just saying I for one of them.
It does, yes, it never uses the pronoun I. Very good, it never says I. So let's write that. It says the narrator, who is not named, so the narrator uses the pronoun they to talk about the Sarah family. Now, when you're done writing that, you have to go to page 427. Okay? Now, I want you to read page 427 to yourself. Now, boys and girls, when authors are writing, they have a certain feeling towards what they're writing about. Remember, they may have a feeling about what they're writing about. That's their point of view towards something as well. So what is the author's point of view about how the Sarah brothers deal with difficulty? How do you think they feel about how they deal with that difficulty? Yes, how do you think they deal with that difficulty? What's their point of view about how they deal with that difficulty? Yes.
They help Alfred get back into baseball after his injury.
They do that. And how do you think the author feels about how they do that? What's the author's feelings about that?
I think the author feels
Okay, so the author is a she. Remember, the author is a she. She, yes.
The narrator wants us to like kind of feel what Alfred is feeling like.
Okay, Juliana.
The author wants us to be kind of sad, and also they rushed him to the doctor when he lost his eye.
Okay, so that is a sad part, but how does it turn out?
It turns out happy.
It turns out good. And so how is that supposed to make us feel? Yes.
Because he got back into baseball.
He got back into baseball. So how does that supposed to make us feel? Yes. He did what?
Alfred baseball days were over.
Yes, so good. So yes. So the author seems to admire, you guys are so good, seems to admire how they are able to overcome that difficulty, right? That seems to be what's happening here. The author admires that. Excellent, boys and girls, you're so good. So the author seems to admire how they overcome difficulties. How the Aseras overcome difficulties. And so how do we know that she admires how they overcome the difficulties? You told me. What details does the author include to show this point of view? We were just talking about it, boys and girls. What? Ivy?
They help him because the author says that he has 11 brothers that will help him throw the ball.
Yeah, they helped Freddie when he lost his eye. Yes.
It's Alfred.
It's Alfred.
Yeah, his name is Alfred.
Oh, it helped Alfred when he lost his eye. Okay. The author tells about how the brothers helped Alfred. Well, you know what? Alfred when he lost his eye. There's so many brothers, I got them mixed up. Now, here's what you're going to do, boys and girls. The last question is, do you have the same point of view as the author? What do you think? Do you agree? Do you admire the Asera brothers? What do you think, Anastasia?
I do admire the Asera brothers, and I think we have the same point of view as the author because we're outside of the story too, not inside.
Yes, you're outside. So you have you're not writing the story.
Yeah.
You're just the reader of the story. So do you admire the brothers too? So do you admire them because do you feel like if your whole family encourages you, you can overcome things? Very good. You could write that down. This last question is one that's your opinion. That's your opinion. So you can agree with the author or not. So you can agree with the author, or maybe you disagree. I don't know. Does anyone disagree with the author and not admire the Acera family? What is your opinion? Would anybody like to share what they're going to write for question number 5? Yes, Ivy, what are you gonna write?
I agree with the author because we are outside the story, not inside.
Yes, but that's not the question. Here's the question. Do you have the same point of view as the author about admiring the Acera family? Do you admire the Acera family as well? That's what they want to know. Do you admire the Acera family? Yes. That's what they want to know. They don't want to know about the other aspect of third person. Yes.
I have the same point of view as the author, so I admire the Acera family.
Yes. And then you have to say why you admire the Acera family. Olive, how do you feel about the Acera family?
Yes, I admire them as well because they work together to overcome things.
Yes, they work together to overcome. They're very supportive. Do you know what I really liked in the story when it said when they play baseball and somebody makes a mistake, they don't get mad at each other. They don't yell at each other. That was nice, wasn't it? I like that. Teddy?
I admire the Acera brothers and I do agree with the author because I like baseball and I think they are a good family.
Yes, very nice. Anastasia?
I agree with the author because I admire them and I like how they support their brothers.
You like how they support their brothers. Excellent, excellent. Good job, boys and girls. So you can continue to write your answer.